Gronemann Gaming. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge von We Happy Few. Wir sind im Kino und wir gucken uns weiterhin die Sammlerstücke an. Zuletzt haben wir Simon Says geguckt, das war schon echt spooky. Und davor natürlich die guten Nachtgeschichten, die Nachrichten. Ja, und wir sind jetzt mit Das schmeckt fantastisch und ja, wir nähern uns schon relativ weit dem Ende, weil das hier ist alles nur 5 bis 10 Sekunden meistens. Das heißt, die sind sehr, sehr schnell abgehandelt. Aber bei den guten Morgen, ja, bin ich mir nicht sicher. Aber wir gucken erstmal das essbare Unkraut an. Er hat eine Kochschürze auf. Er ist einfach ein Koch.
Ah, hello. Welcome to today's edition of That Tastes Amazing. What is it? This is the show where we help you expand your nutritional horizons. You know, you can eat a lot more things than you've ever dreamt of. And I'm here to show you what. Now today, we're going to talk about the wonderful world of edible weeds. You might think the Euch plant is just a roadside weed, but our friend Natriclix patula bears thousands of seeds which you can gather in the autumn, and they'll keep all year long, if you haven't already snaffled them up. Mmm, yummy! Now grind them as you would any other kind of cornmeal, and you can blend them into your flour supply. You can also use them to thicken your soup. And don't waste the rest of the plant. You can eat the young leaves in salads, and you can cook up the old leaves like spinach. Goosefoot salad and Euch bread. What a filling meal. And it's all free. Yes. That is a nettle. Now, who wants to eat a nettle, really? Well, gorillas for one. They love nettles. They eat thistles and nettles every chance they get. But I don't suppose you're a gorilla. And if you are, well, you're hiding it very well, and bravo for you. Of course, artichokes are basically monstrously large thistles. But you already know about artichokes. This isn't an artichoke. It's not even a thistle. It's a nettle. Urtica dioica is a tall plant with a thick root we call a rhizome. And the whole plant is just packed with vitamins. In fact, it's quite medicinal. You can use it to treat sore muscles, eczema, arthritis, gout, and anemia. Though I doubt any of you have the gout, eh? That's the one thing about our present thrifty lifestyle as carers, eh? Now, be careful, because this is called a stinging nettle for a reason. It's got lots of sharp, stinging, tiny hairs. And each of these tiny hairs is hollow and contains a drop of formic acid. That's what ants bite you with. And when the hair pierces your skin, it injects the acid. You'll have an annoying, burning sensation that can last for minutes or even days, and you won't have got it from anything fun, will you? No. So, best thing to do is to wear gloves. If you do get stung, try rubbing the sting with the root of the plant. Might make the itch go away, and in any event, it'll make you look and feel rather clever. Then you're going to do one of two things once you've harvested it. You can cook it, or you can dry it. You probably don't like eating your vegetables dry, unless you're a cow, in which case you're hiding it very well. Bravo, you. And do let me know where you live so I can eat you up. Now, what you ought to do is cook it as you would cook spinach. In fact, it tastes a great deal like spinach, and did I mention that it's packed with vitamins? Yes, I did. Well, it is. You can also put it in soups and stews. The best leaves are the young, light green ones, but beggars can't be choosers. You can even make it into tea. But everyone knows you can eat weeds, and who hasn't eaten a yummy dandelion salad? Clover has a lovely lemony taste. You can eat it raw, but like all proper English food, it's much better if you boil it for at least half an hour. Chicory is best known as tea, but you can eat the whole plant. The young leaves you can eat raw, and the flowers make a great snack. And if you put the roots in a stew, it'll add flavour, bulk, vitamins, and calories. Sheep sorrel is a common weed like acid soil, like your common English bog. Don't eat too much of it, it's full of oxalates. But the leaves have a very nice tart flavour. Just remember, all of these plants are edible, especially if you boil them. And if you're not not sure about a plant, just put it in a soup. A little of the wrong will almost never kill you, as long as you mix it in with lots of good stuff. Just eat a little at first, and if it doesn't upset your stomach, eat a little bit more the next time. Soon you'll be chowing down like a cow. But you're not a cow, or I'm coming to your house for dinner. Ah, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. This is Uncle Jack wishing you an amazing breakfast, lunch and dinner. Tune in next time when we explore the fabulous world of edible insects. Did you know you can eat maggots? They're nutritious and scrumptious.
Mhm. Ja, ja, Maden und so weiter. Ne? Wir gucken erstmal an, wie man in seinem Mittagessen wahrscheinlich die Maden vom Felsen abkratzen kann.
Ah, hello. Welcome to today's edition of That Tastes Amazing. What is it? This is the show where we help you expand your nutritional horizons. You can eat a lot more things than you've ever dreamt of. Did you know you can eat lichens? Now I'm going to show you 3 kinds of lichens that you can fill up on. This is Palmontrapa perlatum, your basic grey-green lichen. For some reason, it's also called black stone flower. In India, it's called kalpasi. It grows on rocks and even stone houses all over Hamlin. Imagine being able to scrape a salad off the side of your own house. Wouldn't that make your life so much easier and cleverer? This is called reindeer lichen, or Cladonia rangiferina. As you might have guessed, it's very important food for reindeer, yes. However, we don't have any reindeer here in England, and we haven't had any since the last ice age, so I think they won't mind if you eat it. The best way to eat it is by drying it and then crushing it, then soaking it in hot water until it becomes soft. You can fry it up if you've got any grease or lard, in which case, lucky you. It's a bit acid, so it may give you a bit of a tummy ache, but that's miles better than starving, isn't it? And you can, I beg your pardon, if you can manage to use it as a green in a victory meat sandwich, then, well, I think you'll be as right as rain. Our friend Cladonia has all sorts of medicinal values, for keeping you regular to a mild antiseptic quality. You can even use it to flavour your aquavit if you've got any left. Here's another lichen that people like to call moss. It's called Iceland moss. And guess where it's really common? Yes, Hamlin, that's where. What did you think I was going to say? Now, I've had some of this, and let me tell you, it is scrumptious. Well, all right. Perhaps it's not quite scrumptious, but it's quite filling if you're hungry. In fact, I quite like it. Oh dear, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time, and I hope you've enjoyed this edition of That Tastes Amazing. What is it? Tune in next time when we talk about rat meat. Everyone knows about the legs, but did you know you can turn the eyes, feet and tail into a perfectly good soup stock?
Wow.
Seriously. Don't be afraid to experiment with new foods. It's part of the adventure of living in these times. It's Jack Worthing telling you to keep that larder full and save the canned foods for a rainy day.
Ist das eine fiese Web? Guten Morgen, aufgewacht Nummer 1. Hören wir uns das doch mal an. Wakey, wakey.
And it's another fabulous day in Wellington Wells. The sun is up, and the weather is overcast and only slightly rainy, with occasional patches of lovely sunshine. Wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning to you. Well, I hope you all had a lovely night's sleep with lovely dreams. It's shaping up to be a wonderful morning, and I think I can promise you that it's just going to get better all through the day. We all forget things from time to time, so don't forget the most important thing. Is it your tea? Is it your muesli? Is it bacon and eggs? Is it toast? Did you forget to butter your toast? No, don't be silly. It's your daily joy. Never forget to take your joy, and I guarantee your day will go swimmingly. So, let's take a look at today's schedule. What's going on in the village of Hamlin? Well, chatting and greeting and smiling and laughing, of course, and breakfast, lunch and dinner, and work. But at 3, I hope you'll all take a quick break for our daily recreational activity. Today we will all gather round the telly for a rousing round of Simon Says. Well, I won't be gathering round the telly. I'll be in the telly. Just like every day, I'll be playing it with you. And then there'll be cake and prizes for all winners, and everyone's a winner, and everyone will be there. So don't miss it, or you're a rotten egg. But seriously, unless you have an awfully good reason, such as 2 broken legs, do be a sport at 3 o'clock, won't you? We love your company. And now, the hot new song from our favourite band. See you soon.
Natürlich das neues Lied von unserer Lieblingsband. So. Nummer 2.
And it's another fabulous day in Wellington Wells. The weather is a bit wet, but that's the lovely thing about English weather. The sun always comes out in the end. So come on out, or you'll miss it. Wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning to you. I do hope you had a lovely night's sleep and left all the troubles of the day in dreamland. That is, if you have any troubles. Remember what was bothering you yesterday? I certainly hope not. Well, today is going to be even better. Now, we all forget things from time to time. So don't forget the most important thing. Did you leave the stove on? Did you remember to shave? Did you wash your hands? Did you brush your teeth? I hope you did all these things, but they're not the most important thing. And that is, as we all know, did you take your joy today? Never forget to take your joy, and I guarantee your day will go as smooth as velvet. So, let's take a look at today's schedule. What's going on in the village of Hamlin? Well, selling and buying, of course, and wandering hither and thither, and marketing and talking about the weather, and smiling and laughing, of course. I insist on it. But at 3, I hope you'll all take a quick break for our daily recreational activity. Today we'll once again all gather round the telly for a rousing round of Simon Says. Oh, I wish I could join you, good people. Actually, I will join you. I'll be doing it from this chair. I'll be calling the tune, if you will, just like every day. I'll be your Simon, except when I'm not. And don't forget, there'll be cake and prizes for all winners, and everyone's a winner, and everyone will be there. So don't miss it, or the villagers will break your legs. And then where will you be when Simon says, jump like a frog? Well, you'll be writhing on the ground, won't you? But seriously, unless you have an awfully good reason, such as being recently deceased, do be a sport at 3 o'clock, won't you? We love your company. And now, the brilliant new song from our favourite new band. See you soon.
Gucken wir uns Nummer 3 an. Jetzt singt der erstmal wieder.
And it's another brilliant day in Wellington Wells. The weather is a little rainy, but I think I can assure you that it's going to dry up to merely a bit overcast. That's the wonderful thing about English weather. You always know you're going to get a little bit of rain, but it's never going to be too cold or too hot. Well, it's not time to hibernate, and you're not a bear, so come on out. Or if you are a bear, then I'm very impressed that you know how to turn on a television set. Wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning to you. Well, I was up all night fretting. I'm joking. I had a fantastic night's sleep. Actually, can't remember a single thing about last night. And that's how I like it. How about you? If you're taking your joy, then you shouldn't have any trouble sleeping. And if you missed some, well, what on earth are you waiting for? Get back on your dose. I think I can promise you your day will go as sweet as a summer breeze. Well, what's going on today in the village of Hamlin? The circus is coming to town! Ha ha! No, I'm sorry, I fooled you. It's just going to be a regular, wonderful, ordinary, spectacular day. But of course, we'll interrupt the day because we love to do that with our daily recreational activity. What are we going to do for fun today? Well, how about Simon Says? I love Simon Says, don't you? It's been too long since we've played it, hasn't it? Now, I'm a bit vague about the details. No, really. So, I think we ought to play it today, just to be sure. Well, you can never be too careful. So at 3, gather in front of the telly for a rousing round of Simon Says. No, wait. I didn't say Simon Says gather. No, stop. We're not playing it yet, so you're all right. And don't forget, there will be cake and prizes for all winners, and everyone's a winner, and everyone will be there. So don't miss it, or you'll stick out like a downer. You can't have downers, right? Brilliant. And now, the catchy new song from our favourite new band.
Wakey, wakey. Sounds like by some
Wakey, wakey, everyone. And it's another fabulous day in Wellington Wells. I've looked at the weather report for you, and apparently it's going to be variable. Isn't that a surprise? Well, be sure to bring an umbrella or two as you go out on your daily rounds, and you'll be right as rain. Right as rain. Ha! I didn't even mean it like that. Well, wakey, wakey, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear friends. Good morning to you. Well, if you're in bed, you know what to do. Hop out, yawn, stretch, and get the tea ready. While the kettle's on, be sure to take your morning joy if you haven't already. We wouldn't be British without our tea, and we wouldn't be wellies without our joy, would we? As you're sipping your tea, be sure to smile at just how lucky we are to be in Wellington Wells, where there are always rainbows after the rain. The bobbies always smile, and no one ever feels hungry or sad. It's good to smile as early as possible in the morning. That way, you know you've had enough joy. Well, what's going on in the village of Hamlin? Ah, this is interesting. At 10 o'clock, Mr. Hewitt for Dalrymple will be giving hopscotch lessons right out in front of Miss Chippy Park. Now, if you don't know how to hopscotch or need to brush up on the rules, be sure to attend Mr. Dalrymple's lessons. Yeah. And I see here that the Church of St. Genesius is continuing its tradition of Simon Says competitions with celebrity callers. Oh, yeah. And today, the celebrity caller is going to be Dr. Faraday. You're calling again, yeah. Well, that doesn't seem quite right, and, nope, I believe I made a mistake. I've confused myself. The celebrity caller will be Marjorie Flowerdew, and if you win the competition, Mrs. Flowerdew promises to come take a look at your flower garden, if you have one. And if you don't, she'll let you clip a few buds from hers. Well, that certainly seems worth playing for, doesn't it? So, come on, get up, get dressed, and get out there. Don't let the day slip away or you'll feel like a downer. And we can't have downers, right? Smashing. And now, the catchy new song from our favourite new band.
Mal gucken, was jetzt für Ratschläge für Touristen
Wakey,
gibt.
wakey, everyone. It's another lovely day in Wellington Wells. Now, in case we have any visitors today, here are a few tips that will help you get along with everyone. And the most important one, of course, is don't forget to take your joy. And drink plenty of water, too. Fortunately, there's joy in the water. And eat plenty of nutritious food. And I'll be the first to recommend our local delicacy, veal meat. Of course, be very careful to stay away from downers. Fortunately, most of them live in the Garden District, and, well, no decent person goes there. It's full of dangerous maniacs and lunatics. If someone's dressed in rags, tell them to go back where they belong, and obey all official signs. They're for your safety and protection. Make friends with your fellow citizens. Talk to them, visit them. Wellies love a friendly guest. And we wellies do love our games. It's important to stay young at heart, so use our playgrounds. Well, after all, if you don't, who on earth will? And obey police officers. They're there to protect you. Remember, they're the only ones who are allowed out at night. Wellington Wells is a delightful place. If you just do like everybody else and you take your joy, you'll have a splendid time. And if you don't, well, one less mouth to feed, eh?
Typ. Okay, Wakey haben wir uns angeguckt. Das 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 Videos von Uncle Jack. Ja, die werden wir alle hier in separaten Videos spielen, also das wird dann eine ganze Folge werden. Ja, es ist das Licht am Ende des Tunnels zu sehen. Wir gucken uns jetzt Tuberkulose an. Von Dr. Jack.
And welcome to today's edition of Well, the show where we talk about how to be your physical best. Now, we all know how to be our mental best, don't we? If you're feeling a bit listless and down, there's a simple and easy answer. Pop a joy. You can't be too happy now, can you? Being a citizen of Wellington Wells means never having to feel sorry for yourself. But this is the show where we talk about being your physical best. If you're feeling a bit sick, it's nice to be happy, but you still don't want to drop dead even if you're smiling all the way, do you? Well, actually, it's not a bad way to go, I suppose. But let's talk about coughing. England is a drafty, wet country, and we all get colds from time to time. When you think about it, jams love the wet, and they stay fresh in the cold. So, if you're coughing from time to time, well, there's nothing to worry about, and there's nothing to do about it either. Now, some people get very worried if they're coughing up blood. And indeed, yes, that might be a sign of something nasty like cancer or pulmonary embolism, things that we don't have any way to treat anymore. Of course, it could just be a sign of bronchitis. If you've had a nasty cough for a while and you're just coughing and coughing and coughing and wheezing, then you probably do have bronchitis. So see if you can get your hands on some old cough drops, or if you haven't any left, drink plenty of tea, rest as much as you can, and try not to cough, and it'll probably eventually go away. But coughing up blood is, like it or not, also a traditional sign of tuberculosis. Yes, tuberculosis is a nasty, infectious disease that we just about eliminated from England before the war. Guess who brought it back to us? I won't tell you, but they weren't mermen, and they weren't called Herman, and they didn't come to preach a sermon. Yes, well, some of them were called Herman. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. How do you know if it is tuberculosis? Well, another symptom is night sweats. If your sheets are soaking wet in the morning, well, then you've had night sweats. And we know you're not having night sweats from worrying, are you? Not if you're taking your joy. Fever is another symptom. But by itself, it could be just a bad cold. But with night sweats and coughing up blood, well, you might start to wonder. Of course, the most famous sign of tuberculosis is losing weight. Victims of tuberculosis waste away. That's why it's called consumption. That's why it used to be called consumption. Now, if you're not getting enough to eat, of course, you're losing weight, so don't worry. But if you are lucky enough to be getting enough to eat, and you're still losing a lot of weight, and you're coughing up blood, well, then you very well have tuberculosis. What can you do if you have tuberculosis? Well, the most important thing you can do is to make sure that no one else gets it. Don't cough at anyone, don't spit on the street, and wash your hands often with soap. Get yourself to a doctor as soon as you can, and they'll be sure to get you to a place where you can be taken care of properly and that you won't infect anyone else. What if you suspect someone close to you has tuberculosis. Be sure to tell the nearest doctor. They'll know how to be sure if your husband or wife or friend has it and what to do about it. Don't keep it a secret, or you might catch it too. Be very careful with any handkerchiefs or clothes or sheets that someone might have coughed blood on. They should be washed thoroughly with soap and bleach if you can get it, and they should be hung out to dry at least until a warm, sunny day rather dries them out, because nothing disinfects like sunlight. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask a doctor. You know doctors, they're always looking out for you. And remember, be your own doctor. No matter what you do, be sure you're taking enough joy. There's no more excuses for feeling bad. You don't have to. Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again tomorrow when we'll see if there's any truth to the rumours about leprosy. I'll tell you a secret. They're all false. This is Dr. Jack Worthing, and this is my prescription. Get plenty of sleep and exercise, and you'll be well, well, well. Goodbye.
Lepra sagt ja gar nichts drüber eigentlich, ne? Naja, schauen wir uns solche an.
Welcome to today's edition of Well, 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 the show where we talk about how to be your physical best. Now, some of you dear listeners have been writing in about some sort of plague that's supposed to be going around Wellington Wells. Now, first of all, don't be ridiculous. If there were plague, wouldn't you expect to notice dead bodies in the streets strewn here and there? But you don't notice them, do you? But I want to address some of the wilder claims people have been writing to me about. For example, this chap, Constable Bill Blake of Trim Street, St. George's Home. And he writes that some of the wastrels have become quite incoherent and belligerent. And, well, he chalks it up to plague. Well, you don't have to blame it on plague, do you? I mean, I'd be belligerent if I were off my joy. Who knows? I might go around murdering people in the middle of the night and leave a trail of corpses missing their kidneys. But I do take my joy, don't I? If those poor wastrels would just go back on their joy, you wouldn't hear another thing about plague. But that's not the half of it. Mrs. E.H. Undershaft of the Tyning Maiden Home claims to have heard plague-afflicted wastrels speaking in Old English. What an imagination you have, Mrs. Undershaft. Now, I remember when you used to read as Beowulf and did all the voices. Mrs. Undershaft, they're probably speaking English and you've just gone slightly deaf. So, there's nothing to worry about. Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again next week when we talk about scurvy. If your teeth are falling out, not to worry. You're in fine British seafaring tradition. This is Dr. Jack Worthing. And remember to stay well, well, well.
Dann gucken wir mal die seltsamen alten Bräuche, Korbmännchen und andere urtümliche britische Traditionen.
And now it's time for Funny Old Customs, the show in which Jack Worthing, that's me, illuminates our jolly island's ancient customs. Today, we're going to talk about human sacrifice. Yes, many of our forebears enjoyed a human sacrifice or two. And I'm not just talking about watching a good hanging, like we did during the... Never mind, sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. Well, the most famous British sacrifices were the ancient Celts. According to Julius Caesar, their druids liked to put criminals and prisoners of war into giant wicker men and then set them on fire. Wow, what a sight that must have been. And if you don't think we can trust the Romans, then how about the bog bodies? Yes, we found beautifully preserved bodies in peat marshes, and some of them show evidence of having been strangled, drowned, and stabbed to death. That's how you propitiate a god, eh? Makes you wonder if anybody's buried under Stonehenge, eh? And if they are, who's under our own little henge, the wedding party stones? Maybe someone should check. Of course, all this was before we Anglo-Saxons became an island race. Back then, we were pagans and worshipped dark gods. The darkest and most important of the gods was Wotan, whereas the Vikings called him Odin. He was a war god. Well, perhaps he still is a war god. And the Vikings would sacrifice 99 men and women in a great blot to make sure he stayed happy. That's a long way from Abraham and Isaac, isn't it? Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Maybe someday we'll talk about the ancient Aztecs of Mexico, who liked to cut a man's heart out while it was still beating. Fortunately, no one does it anymore, as far as I know. Well, you never know what goes on in the Garden District, do you? At least, I hope you don't. Well, remember me in your prayers, whoever it is you're praying to. And tune in again soon for Uncle Jack.
Oh man. En kom ze uit Spanje. Piñata.
Welcome to Strange Foreign Customs, the show where Jack Worthing, that's me, tells you all about the bizarre and ridiculous things people do in other countries. Let's start with Forreblot. It's an Icelandic festival where you eat disgusting food. Yes, pressed pickled ram testicles, seal flippers, whale blubber, and my favorite, fermented shark. You must be wondering, how do you go around preparing that? Well, you see, you let it rot in the sand for a few months until it's not poisonous anymore, mostly, and then it smells like pneumonia. And then you hang it up to dry until it's chewy. Now, I don't care how starving I am. I'm not going to eat rotten shark, thank you very much. Of course, everyone knows Santa brings presents. But what happens to the men and women who've been naughty? Coal in their socks, right? Actually, I'd love some coal in a cold night. But in Czechoslovakia, they get a visit from the terrifying Krampus. He carts off evil people to be eaten. Do I have your attention now? Now, I know you've all been good this year. And if you haven't, well, I don't want to hear about it. But wouldn't it be fun to dress up as a Krampus and scare wicked people? Now, when I was traveling in Mexico back in, well, I can't remember when, but I found the most enchanting, strange custom. It's called a piñata. And we have one right here. Here he is. It's a large, colourful paper-mache sculpture, you see, and it's filled with sweets. And you're supposed to smash it until all the sweets come out, and it turns out the custom isn't Mexican at all, it's Spanish, and originally the sculptures are made of clay pots. Wouldn't that be fun? Smashing a clay pot full of treats? You know, it's sort of the reverse of what you do with downers. Smash them until you can get the joy into them.
Oh man.
Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in again soon for more Uncle Jack.
Uncle Jack interviewt Queen Mary the Eerste. Interpret Bloody Mary.
And now it's time for Famous Britons, the show in which Jack Worthing, that's me, interviews some of our more celebrated countrymen from history. Now today, we have in our studio Her Majesty Queen Mary, fondly known to history as Bloody Mary for massacring Protestants and marrying a Spaniard. And don't confuse me with Mary Queen of Scots either. I'll be very cross. Now, of course not.
Oh mein Leute.
Your sister Elizabeth.
Nicht euer Ernst.
Didn't she? Jack, that vixen Elizabeth. Do you know, I should have had her head cut off. But I didn't, because I'm a kind and merciful person. By the way, Jack, are you Catholic? Actually, I'm Anglican, like most people here. Dear, I think we better put you down for a beheading. After the interview, perhaps? You could convert? That sounds much more jolly. Oh, dear. You sound disappointed. Well, Jack, you've no idea how a good beheading can cheer one up. Well, I don't know about that. Have you tried joy? Joy? What's that? Well, it's this marvellous pill that makes you forget all the bad things and feel wonderful about everything else. Jack, what rubbish. What kind of queen is happy all the time? Do you know, the few times I was happy, I barely cut anyone's head off at all. Well, surely there's more to life than just beheading people. Well, we did try beheading goats for a while, but, well, it wasn't quite the same, was it? Well, what about fun and family and love? I am married to King Philip of Spain. Ah, well, you're in a bit of a jam then, aren't you? Well, Fortunately, I'm dead. Well, that is one way to solve one's problems, isn't it? Jack's been lovely chatting. I really must be off. Someone's saying my name 3 times into a mirror. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Her Majesty Queen Mary. If only she'd had joy, she might not have beheaded quite so many people. Now ask your doctor if joy is right for you. Of course it is. Next week on Famous Britons, I'll be interviewing St. Thomas a Becket. I hear he's turbulent.
Ja, ich glaube, den Thomas von Canterbury werden wir nicht so schnell hören, weil den gibt's ja nämlich nicht.
More Uncle Jack.
Der nächste ist King George der Dritte. Klasse, wie er verkleidet ist.
And now it's time for Famous Britons, the show in which Jack Worthing, that's me, interviews some of our most celebrated countrymen. Today, we have in our studio His Majesty King George III. Your Majesty, how are you feeling today? Mad, really? Well, is it us who's mad, or is it the entire world? Oh, no, Jack, no, it's me. Absolutely me. Do you know, in fact, it's got my attention. Some of my subjects affectionately refer to me as Mad King George. Still, you accomplished quite a bit in your reign, didn't you? Yes, I have, Jack, and I'm glad to talk about some of the more serious things of my reign. I grew smashing carrots. Really did. In fact, I was known as Farmer George. But those damned rabbits, Jack! Always eating my carrots. You beat the French? And you know, in those days, they weren't even always orange. No. They were mostly sort of red and white and sometimes beige. The French? No, Jack. The carrots! Do try to keep up, man. But the French, yes, we did beat them twice. Sadly. And, well, you're famous for giving the Americans their liberty, eh? Oh, Jack. Those pesky Americans. Any idiot can grow vegetables in the New World. You just chop down a tree and there's your farm. I mean, try doing that in the plot of land that's been found for 2,000 years. Good luck to you, man. But Jack, the damned rabbits were always eating my lettuce. Well, you do sound a little upset. But I'm mad. I'm absolutely mad. Mad King George, barking. Have you tried joy? Joy? What's that? Well, it's this marvelous pill that makes you forget everything and think of all the wonderful things in life. Well, I wish I'd had some of that. I might not have been quite so mad. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. His Majesty King George III. If only he'd had joy, he might not have gone mad at all. Ask your doctor if joy is right for you. Of course it's right for you. Next week, on Famous Britons, I'll be interviewing King Arthur. Do you know he's planning a comeback? Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in later for more Uncle Jack.
Ja, das war King George und das Interview mit unserem geliebten Jack. Meine Freunde, ich bedanke mich dafür, dass ihr zugeschaut habt. Wenn euch das Video gefallen hat, lasst gerne ein Like, vergesst nicht mehr zu folgen. Und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder. In dem Sinne. Das sieht so dämlich aus, ne? Hat der alles für Kostüme? Junge. In dem Sinne auf jeden Fall. Bis dann.